Hello and welcome to the All the Pies YouTube channel. My name's Kev, that is Davy, and you're joining us after Newcastle United absolutely spanked Manchester United. There's a lot to get through, Davy. We've got news to go through, we've got matches to look back at, matches to look forward to. Let's get on with it.
God, he scored so many goals.
Alright, how are you doing?
I'm alright. I've had a canny day.
You
My
looking
back's
well?
still not well. My back's still not great, but I think I'm slowly improving. So my goal is Milan. My goal is to be able to get into the Milan game. So
You'll get there, man. You'll
sitting
get
here
there.
doesn't help, like. But yeah. It's all
Well,
good.
there's
All
been a
good.
lot happening since we were last on, Davy.
Is there?
Unless you've been living under a rock, there's been not under the rock. I don't think anybody lives under the rock, but under a rock. There's been a little something happened in regards to the FA Cup. Can you enlighten us somewhat, Davy?
Oh, it was. I saw it. It was crazy. I mean, the tie of the round is just undoubtedly Everton versus Crystal Palace. I mean,
It is
wow. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Everton versus Crystal Palace.
can it
My
wait?
jaw hit the floor when they pulled out Everton and Crystal Palace. I thought, well, there's not going to be a bigger
What
game in the
else? What
round than
else
that,
could
is
be
it?
better than that? It's just that's what football's all about, mate.
No, that's it. That's the one. I mean, I didn't watch the draw, but in
I
all
was going to when
seriousness,
I lost track of time and I missed it, and I got a message and I said, "What? What? Yeah." And I thought that I just somebody sent us a message and says, "Are you going to the Stadium of Shite?" And I says, "What do I want to go there for?" And and then somebody else sent something similar, and I thought, "What's going on?" And I looked at the time and I thought, "Oh, I've missed the draw. I'll see what the draw is." And then I clicked and I thought, "Oh, bloody hell! I couldn't believe it." Like I
well, I'd
say,
said,
Everton, Crystal Palace.
well, I'd said the day before. I'd said, look, but I say it every single time that Newcastle and Sunderland are in the same draw. I always say, oh, I think we're going to get the Mackems. I think we're going to get the Mackems. And I just had a feeling the day before. I felt the stars align. I thought the time's come, because if we're waiting for a derby, we'll be waiting for 1,000 years before they get promoted, because they look as though they're throwing it away again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's either the 6th or the 7th of January. It'll be over that weekend. We've got to go down to the Stadium of Shite. The only thing that would have been a little bit better is if we had them at St James's Park, because
Aye.
the demand for tickets for that is going to be, it's
Aye.
going to be the hottest ticket in town. Going to be
I'm not
impossible
going
to
in.
get.
I'm not going in the wrong end again. Twice before.
You've
I'm
been
not
in the
doing
wrong
that.
end down there, like.
When it was Roker Park, but I didn't intentionally go in the wrong end. It's a long story. I'll tell it another time, honestly.
Well, there's a
Twice.
one for the Sunderland preview, because we'll definitely
Honestly,
be
yeah.
previewing that one. But yeah,
One
I
of them,
mean,
I ended up on the pitch during one of them, man. It was mental.
sure.
It was absolutely mental.
No, I'm sorry you're giving us that one now. I want to know how you ended
No,
up
no,
on the
it's a long
pitch.
story. It's a long story.
All
It
right,
can
well,
wait. It can
they're
wait.
coming out in the preview, so when the preview comes around, I'll be reminding you. I want to hear
Yeah.
those stories, and
No,
don't leave any of the juicy bits out
no,
neither.
no, I won't. I won't.
But I'm already. I mean, we're going to get on to the more immediate football, but I'm already looking at it. So actually, it's me birthday night out on the 6th. So
All
it's my
right.
birthday on the 3rd, and me pal, it's her birthday on the 10th. So we're having like a joint birthday night out. We're going on the karaoke. Why not? But
Brilliant.
that's penciled in for the 6th. So if we do play on the
But
6th, it's going to be a long day, because
aye,
I'll
aye.
definitely be in the pub watching it. So
I
maybe
reckon
even the
it'll be
same.
on. I reckon it'll be on telly. The thing is, though,
Got to be.
it's got to be really. But the thing about it, I honestly think it's come at the. I've got one of my best mates as a Sunderland fan, and we say every year it would be great, But really, in some ways, it's not, because I'm stressed out already, and I know so many people that are stressed out already. But I think it's come at a bad time for us, because one, we've got all these players injured. We've now got a full team, and keeper, including the keeper, that are injured. and we've also got 2 huge matches that are sandwiched in between it. And then there's also the possibility, if we beat Chelsea in the cup, of a semi-final going on around that time as well. Now, I thought about it, and I thought we could get some players in early doors. And one that I thought, I bet you for a laugh, Eddie Howe asks them for to buy, goes and asks them for to buy Jack Clark 2 days before, just for a laugh, like, you know.
No, man, we need to get Shola Amiobi out of retirement. Macam Slayer. Oh, Shola Amiobi. You know what it is? You could put him in the pitch these days, and he would probably
He
still
probably
beat them.
still would.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, but I mean,
We should still beat them. We should still
I've got
beat them.
a lot of friends who are Sunderland friends. You know, will live really close to there, and so I'm going to be respectful. I'll say this: Sunderland are fucking shite. We'll fucking batter them with any team. Sorry, none of them watch this. Literally, none of them watch this. Right. Well, let's park that for a bit, because I'm sure there'll be plenty of excitement building up to that one. It's going to be an absolutely huge game. But we need to get into what happened on Saturday night, because another big match was going on. But before we do, Davy, I've got a question for you. Are you ready?
What? Yeah. Oh, I think so.
Are you sure you're ready?
Aye, go on.
Are you fucking ready?
Okay, let's go.
I don't know.
So yeah, 8 o'clock on Saturday, St James's Park had a full house again, as they had.
No, it wasn't full. It was not full.
It wasn't full. Oh no,
there
was one exemption.
There were 2 seats missing. Me and our last weren't there, so it wasn't full.
There was a 99.9% capacity at St James's Park. 58,998 people were there. But yeah, it was one of those games which could possibly be a banana skin. And I was feeling a little bit nervy, not too nervy, a little bit nervy just before kickoff. But I do before every single game. But I had absolutely nothing to worry about, because we fucking battered them. And the 1-0 scoreline does not reflect how that game went. It should have been 4 or 5-0. The opening stages throughout the first half, we were just knocking on the door completely. So what was your thoughts when you saw the lineups? We kind of knew what team Newcastle United were going to put out. We mentioned that on the last video. But when they put the Man United team out, it wasn't far off what I expected.
Well, it wasn't. I mean, I was quite confident, and I as I say, I thought I said in the last podcast that I thought we would go for it for 15 to 20 minutes, out of the traps really quickly. The thing that I was a little bit concerned about was, because I think he's a really good player, is Shaw was moved to centre half, and because I had said that the 2 centre halves that they've been playing have got a mistake in them, but I think Shaw's a decent player. I like him. He's a good player. And then I thought they put forgetting his name, begins with a D. Darlow, yeah, not Darlow, yeah. And I thought he's like, he can be okay, but I thought Shaw's quick, and that's probably why they've put him there. For to look after Isak, and if anything else is kind of coming into them. So that was the only kind of slight sort of concern that I had. And I thought he had a good game, to be honest. And the 2 players that I thought that had a banana skin in them were probably their 2 best players.
Sean Maguire.
And as I say, I thought we'd go out like early doors, but we didn't just go out for 15, 20 minutes. We were out for 80. 75 minutes, 80 minutes. It was unbelievable.
Well, all the crack before
they didn't have a kick.
No, they didn't. And all the crack before the game was about Anana. Excuse if you hear any noises, the drilling upstairs. So all the crack was about Anana, and there was a lot of people saying, "Oh, we just need to shoot on sight. We need to be shooting. We need to be peppering the goal with shots from anywhere." And I kind of disagreed with that in a couple of the pubs that I was into beforehand when I was having a bit of crack with some people. And I said, look, no, I don't think they need to be concentrating on just shooting on sight. We need to play with normal game.
Yeah.
And I'd said, look, it's more important for us to get down the sides and try
Yeah.
and work the balls into the box, because I think that's where we're going to be. We're best against them. And Eddie Howe, man, he must have been listening to us, because that's exactly what we did. We did try the odd shot, and we certainly were letting them go. But all of the danger for me came down the outside. And I
Yeah.
must say, like, Almiron, that first half, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. When he was
Yeah.
cutting in, he was taking shots. He just really opened everything out. And with Gordon on the left-hand side, they weren't even at the races, Manchester United.
Well, we said in the podcast, or at least I said that that I thought we might end up peppering them with shots and all this kind of stuff. Now, I heard when the flight was cancelled and they had to get the bus, I heard they were actually like listening, watching our podcast on the way. So maybe them watching our podcast and seeing what we said, Ten Hag's probably thought, oh, we need to concentrate, and that's why he brought Shaw in. So that's it, listening to our podcast has put them off, basically.
We were able, a red herring there, didn't we?
Livermento and Gordon were just unbelievable together. And as you say, Trippier and Miggy and Miley as well coming down that side. I thought everybody had a brilliant game. I mean, they were talking about man of the match, but the only one that didn't seem to have very much to do was Pope. And Lascelles did everything that he had to do. He was solid. But the one of the two centre halves, Shea really shined because he was stepping forward, and he's just brilliant when he does that. But that's the only reason why Lascelles got a slightly lower mark, I think, because he did everything that was asked, and they just didn't pose a threat at all. We just soaked every little thing up. They just didn't look. They looked deflated at the way that we continue to get at them again and again from all areas of the park. And then, as you say, the getting down the byline.
Yeah, I mean, look at there was we outclassed them all over the park. I think one of the main reasons we got so much joy down outside was Garnacho and what do you call him? Rashford. Them two were just doing no tracking back whatsoever. It was one of the laziest displays I've ever seen by a football player was Rashford. Garnacho was trying the odd time. But what was more interesting to me is I was really interested to see the matchup in the middle of the park, because both teams had two really young players on. We had Lewis Miley, and is it Omin? Their player.
He was anonymous. He was totally anonymous.
It was too much for him. Whereas Miley looked class.
I tell you what, as well, and I mentioned about their formation and what they play with the 4-2-3-1, and I think that formation plays into our hands, and we end up basically overriding them in midfield. And then you've got Bruno Fernandes as well, who, to me, he was everywhere he shouldn't have been.
Yeah,
it was like he was shirking the battles, and I think he was frightened of Joelinton. And you've got Miley, a young lad. He's only played a couple of games, and he looked at class above all of their players, all of them. And I tell you who also didn't get a mention, so much so I've forgotten his name as well. The Scottish, the big tall Scottish lad. Yeah, he was totally anonymous. I mean, they were just running past him. He's supposed to be in there to battle and fight for the ball. He didn't win a thing. And then, I mean, there were moments when him and Rashford both had the ball, and Gordon was getting in between the two of them and winning it off them, and then Livramento coming up and joining it. They were absolute. I tell you what, I've watched Man United sides live since 1975 when I started going to games, and I'd seen them a couple of times. I don't remember much about them before that. That on Saturday was the worst Man United side that I've ever seen. They were just appalling. But I don't care, You know, I've got friends who are Man United fans as well, proper Man United fans. You know, they're not like from Surrey or wherever, you know. But
Kent.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it doesn't matter where they're from, you know, because we've got fans from all over the place. But it's been
We've
a
got
thing
some
for them
from
for ages.
Newcastle, though, haven't we? We've
Yeah,
got some that live
yeah,
in
exactly.
Newcastle.
But yeah, honestly, I felt for some of my friends. You know, it was there was nothing they could say.
Oh,
And then
Davy, I didn't. I've got friends who are Man U fans as well, some at work as well, and I did not feel bad for them one little bit. Like I tell you, right? You know, this might be unpopular if anybody from Manchester sees this. They definitely won't. But if they did, like you know, I've had so much heartache from
yeah, I
Manchester
know.
United over the years. I was absolutely loving the fact of how bad they were, and I know you shouldn't really take joy in other people's displeasure, but I fucking did.
Yeah, yeah,
I really did because it was like being cleansed. Now this is 3 in a row that we've beat them.
yeah,
Now
yeah,
when was the last time we beat Manchester United? 3 times in a row. And I said to me mate at work, I said, I'm not just saying this. I wish we could play every week because
yeah,
you just couldn't handle it one little bit. Now we'll talk about a couple of the chances in the first half. So Miggy had one in the first half where he sort of cut inside and he got his shot off, and the keeper
yeah,
spilled it, which is the type of thing that we've been talking about. If he's not catching many balls, and when he spills them, he seems to put them in the in front of players. And
yeah,
Isak,
yeah.
unfortunately, Wan-Bissaka was just in front of
Just
Isak
there, yeah,
on that occasion. But there was a really good chance from a free kick from Kieran Trippier, where
mm,
it just had his name written all over it. Now, the actual free kick itself, there was even their setup was in disarray. So they had the wall there, right, and they were edging forward and edging forward. And even though he'd put the foam line down, they were clearly standing over it.
yeah,
Newcastle players are going, what they're doing. They were more concerned in trying to get an inch here or there than the actual play itself. I tell you what, they were lucky when it came down off the crossbar that it didn't fall to a Newcastle player, because that wall just stood and
yeah. I
watched it
know.
and barely reacted afterwards.
I'll tell you what. Aside from the free kick, which was just brilliant, you know, he deserved a goal. But the thing that I was absolutely wetting myself about was Joelinton just before it was taken, because they had Garnacho who was lying down behind them, right? And Joelinton just looked down, and it was like something from a Laurel and Hardy. He just looked down at him, and he was on the camera, and he just went like it was
Well,
just
Captain
brilliant.
Mannering,
Yeah,
stupid boy.
exactly. It was absolutely hilarious.
But
But
half time game, right? And it was 0-0, and we've been absolutely all over them. Now sometimes when it's been that type of game and you go in at 0-0 and you haven't put your chances away, sometimes I'm thinking to myself,
yeah,
oh
I know,
God, we
I
might
know.
live to regret that we didn't put our chances away. However, on this occasion, I didn't feel like that at all. I thought we're definitely going to get more chances and we will score in the second half. There's no way that team can turn it around so much. They were that bad. I
Yeah,
thought that even if they're twice as good as they were in the second half, they're still only half as good as us,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
because they were absolutely nowhere in the second half. That's exactly what happened. We just picked up
yeah,
from where we left off. And I noticed that Eric Ten Hag had sent them out early. So whether he's given the hairdryer treatment or whatever he said, it certainly didn't work, because we were straight back at them
yeah.
again in the second half.
And it was hilarious because our players were in the tunnel and they were just warming their hands and things, and they were looking at them standing out in the cold, and they were like, "Let's just stay here a bit longer and let them freeze." Yeah, that was hilarious as
Bit of
well.
dark
You
arts,
wouldn't
man. I
have
love a
seen
bit of
that,
dark
but
arts.
I saw that with the telly. They were just standing in some. I don't know who it was, but somebody must have just said like, "Just wait here for a bit. We'll go out when the referee tells us we have to go out," you know.
Aye.
And they were just standing there and they were just rubbing their hands. And I kind of thought, they're not rubbing their hands to keep warm. They're rubbing their hands for to get back out and do
Aye.
exactly the same thing to them, you know.
And that's exactly what they did as well. And it didn't take too long for the goal to come. What was it? Was it the 55th, 56th minute
Oh, I
that the
can't
goal
remember.
came?
I can't
So
remember.
it was a
It's more
lovely
than
little
it's
move
2
though.
days ago. I can't remember that for.
Yeah, but it was a lovely move. Kieran
Oh, it
Trippier
was
won the
brilliant.
ball back just about halfway in their half. Plays it out to Bruno Guimaraes. He just holds the ball up a little bit, and he did that all game. Held
Yeah,
the ball up and waited for the runners to go, and he did it again brilliantly.
yeah,
Spotted Kieran Trippier on the overlap on the out hand side. Played a perfect ball out, and his ball in the box. Well, I mean, Gordon had made just a little move to slip
yeah.
off the defender, and by the time Wan-Bissaka realised it had happened, the
No, it
ball
was
was in the
too
back of
late.
the net.
The
And
thing is,
when that went in, I was like, there is no way they're getting back into this.
yeah, the thing is, right, we know that that kind of move happens again and again and again. And if Man United had done their homework, they would have known that that happens again and again and again. And nobody went with either of them.
Mhm.
They were just, it was like a training match. It was like, right, you just stand around, you stand in position. We're going to do a training thing where you are going to stand and you're not actually going to move, and we're just going to see how this works. Okay. That's what it was like.
Well,
It was really bad. I was
it was thanks to Rashford as well, though, wasn't it? Because
yeah,
when Kieran Trippier won that ball and played it out, you also had Miggy on the right hand side as well. Now Dalot picked him up, and that's when you're looking for your sort of left winger, your Marcus Rashford to come back and give a hand. Just
was it
stand
not
there, pick.
Garnacho on that side? It might
Sorry,
have been
Garnacho. I just stand picking his nose. He's
I
like,
know.
just give us so much room. And after that went in, I was just thinking, well, how many is this going to be? How many is it going to be?
But then the thing is when time goes on, I just thought, that there will be a moment in here where we will tire. And although they've run and run after the ball, we are going to tire because we've had these same players for every game for God knows how long now. And then, of course, 80 minutes or so, they started to come out with a little bit. It wasn't much, do you know what I mean? It was a bit pathetic, really, but I thought they're going to get a chance here.
Sucker punch.
Yeah,
And then nearly
because
did
that's
get
what they do. That's what they do, and it's what they have been doing all season. And their fans have been saying, we've been rubbish, and we've managed to grind out results. That's what they've been saying, and I just thought they're going to do it again because this is Man United. This is what they do, and I just thought, oh, I can't believe we haven't scored another goal, and
Well, I
when,
mean, before we get on to their chance, there was another
aye,
incident we need to talk about,
yeah,
which was this was when they were just starting to get a little bit of head of steam. Maybe it's around about the 70th minute or so, 75th minute, in Nick Pope lying on the floor, and I thought, oh Christ, what's happened here? And it wasn't even from a save, was it? That the shot that came in was deflected.
yeah,
It landed on his
Shea blocked
arm.
it. Shea
Shea
basically kicked it away. Yeah.
blocked it, and then when I saw him limping off, I thought, "Oh Christ, that's all we need." And yeah, again,
He's
another
landed
injury.
full. If you can imagine, like his arm and his body were straight,
Hmm.
but everything there was kind of straight. There was nothing, and at first I looked and I thought, yeah, but keepers land like that all the time. The problem is it's an injury that he's had before, and I think
Aye.
it's just gone, So
I
it's
think
one of
that's
them.
worrying. I think that's worrying as well, isn't it? The fact that it's a reoccurrence of a previous injury. Now, the word coming out today is that it's probably going to need surgery,
Yeah,
and it could take 4 or 5 months. Now,
yeah,
well, it's worrying for one because he's been absolutely immense this season, and shot stoppers like him don't come around very often. So it's all right bring somebody into replacement, but they're not going to be any Nick Pope. And secondly, if this is another reoccurrence, you can't help but think, is this going to be a regular thing now? Could
yeah,
this be sort of like not so much the beginning of the end,
yeah.
but is it going to be is it
It's
going to
sad
affect him going forward?
because yeah, it's sad because obviously keepers, if he's knackered in that way, he's not going to be able to play. And you just think, is he going to have the same movement? Is he going to have the same level of,
Exactly.
being able to get up? And I don't know. But saying that, I mean, Dubravka is a cracking keeper, and so is Karius as well. They're both cracking keepers.
And ironically enough, we've been linked very, very, very heavily today, actually, by most media sources, with the ex-Manchester United goalkeeper as well, David De Gea. Now,
Really, I've not looked at anything. I've been
oh
busy.
yeah, so he's
But
obviously a
he's out
free
of
agent.
contract, isn't he? So he's a free agent.
He's a
So
free agent, yeah, and
yeah, that would be a good move. Would be a
yeah,
good move.
so he's heavily linked now. Well, I mean, hypothetically speaking, who do you play? Do you play him ahead of Dubravka? Do you play Dubravka kind of ahead of De Gea? This is just hypothetically talking if they were to get him.
I think Dubravka's going to be the one that's like in goal, where he's going to have to come in and prove himself in training and prove that he's worth a go. And depending on when they get him, I mean, can they get him sooner with him being
No, I think
out
it
of
still has to
contract?
be I'm not sure. I'm sure it still has to wait till January.
Maybe
I
he could
believe.
come and train with it because players do that, don't they?
Hmm.
Maybe he could come and train with it, and then he could be maybe available for the FA Cup,
Hmm.
something like that. I don't know. It's all hypothetical,
We'll
but
play him play him up front against Sunderland and score a hat trick.
I honestly think, that you've got to say that Dubravka is the one that's number one at the moment, and whoever comes in has got to be good enough to replace him. I don't think they'll just drop him because even if it's De Gea, I just don't know. I'm surprised that
I
they
think
got.
they would if they did hypothetically speaking again. If they did get De Gea, I think they would play De Gea ahead of Dubravka. I mean, he was miles ahead of him at Manchester United, and that's why
Yeah, I
Dubravka
know, I
came
know.
back.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But it would be quite ironic if that was the case. And I know we're digressing a little bit, and we will go back to the Man U match. But another player linked today was Lukaku. I'm seeing that pop out a few
Kind of,
places. Saying that,
see him playing in goal like.
still the goal. He's seen the
Yeah.
sign. He's massive, wasn't he? Aye. But let's get back onto the game. So yeah, Nick Pope, he went off. Sad times for him. Obviously, positive thoughts going his way. But then there almost was that sucker punch that we were
Oh,
all scared of. And for a second there, my heart
I know.
sank. My
I
heart
was.
absolutely sank. Where the ball, it fell to well, it was kind of pinballing about for a little bit, wasn't it? And then
Yeah.
who was it that got the shot off again? My
I
mind is
honestly
slipping
can't remember, but I mean, I think our neighbours must have thought I was murdering Sarah because there was screams and I was shouting and screaming and swearing and everything, and she was like, "Ah!"
away.
And honestly, they must have thought, "Oh, they're having a massive domestic, like, or whatever," you know. But I
But
just thought, and
we
then I
didn't even
looked, but I
we
looked
didn't even
straight away. I looked at Maguire, and Maguire didn't celebrate,
mhm.
and straight away I says, "Offside. He's offside."
Aye, come of the hour, come of the man.
Yeah, and I think
Slabhead himself.
it did touch him,
It
but I
did,
think he could have actually been offside for the initial cross that came over. Now he didn't head it, but he was going for it, so he would have been
I felt he
interfering with
was
play
onside for
anyway.
that one, to be honest. I felt
It
he
was
was
very
onside for that.
close, but he was definitely interfering regardless, when
Well,
if it had hit him or not. So yeah,
from where
but
I sit in the Leazes end, it's really difficult to see what's going on
yeah,
up there.
exactly
Now,
that.
when I first saw it, I hadn't even seen Harry Maguire. I'd noticed the ball went one way and ended up going the other. And I thought Dubravka had getting a hand to it and sort of just knocked it in.
Yeah,
So, well, like I said, my heart absolutely sank. But what a beautiful feeling it is when you sit below the away
yeah,
fans and a goal gets disallowed like that, and you can turn around and be like,
yeah, yeah,
lovely feeling, lovely. I'd
yeah.
love it if we beat them. Uh, but yeah,
And then that was it really for that. I
that was
think they
it.
had one corner, and after that, and they just seemed to fizzle out. There wasn't. I think we had again more chances, possibly getting something on the break than they had, and we didn't sit right back. We didn't just allow them on, but they just posed very little threat. I was just really surprised at how poor they were,
Mhm,
but very, very happy at how poor they were as well. Yeah.
exactly. And it was 3 points, 3 big points. We're picking up points off the teams in and around we which is really, really, really important.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we'll see how important that is come the end of the season because you take, Man U, as much as they are playing crap, they probably are going to be there or thereabout. And you take 3 points off us and add it on to them come the end of the season, that's going to be massive. And it did temporarily put us back into fifth spot after Tottenham drew with Man City yesterday, which again was a brilliant game. We're now sitting in 6th, but we're certainly within touching distance of that race for the top 4, which is really, really, really pleasing to me, because with the amount of injuries that we've had and the amount of games that we had a few weeks ago, I honestly thought we might lose touch with the pack a little bit, but we haven't. We've kept it up, and come January when we get our players back, it's going to be.
We just need to go on a run.
And it's going to happen.
We will get new players in. That's no doubt. We will get at least, I reckon, at least 2 new players in, at least.
I agree.
And I think we'll definitely buy somebody, and we'll be looking at loans as well. So there's going to be players coming back. We've got a full team of players ready to come back. Hopefully within January at some point. Most of them will be hopefully ready and raring to go, and they're all going to have to fight for their place, because these lads have just been absolutely brilliant. So
I have, and they need to be brilliant again, because as is December, the games, they just keep coming thick and fast. And again, we are back at it.
Oh, the ghost.
Oh yes, the ghost. Come in. Do you want a cup of tea? There's the ghost. A few times that's happened, My door's completely shut. The ghost. So yeah, we head to Liverpool, to Scousland on Thursday night, which is the Amazon game, I believe.
Yeah.
So we may as well have a little bit of a talk about that. But I'm in such a good mood, Davy, because we're going to talk about Everton. He's coming back out.
Okay, let's go.
So yeah, is it 7:45? I believe the kickoff is on Thursday night.
Something like that, yeah. I mean, it was moved from Tuesday, so I think in some ways I'm pleased that we've got a bit of a rest. But then you've got the next game after that, but we're not talking about that yet. So
no, we've got the toffees on Thursday, and I don't know. I get the feeling we're looking at it's not massively a slightly better Everton than they were looking at last season.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is going to be a given. I do expect we're to win on Thursday, but I don't think it's going to be a given. They've when I was looking at some of the results that they've gotten this season, and even more recently, they have seemed to have turned a little bit of a corner, and it looks as though Sean Dyche is finally starting to get his sort of impact on the team. And when I do watch them play, they are quite similar to that Burnley style that we saw that kept them up. But that having been said, I still think that we should go there expecting to get the 3 points. What's your initial thoughts going into the game?
Well, I've been looking at them closely, and the first thing was their system 4-4-1-1. It's basically one of those that can, it very quickly can change to a 4-2-3-1. And it can be 4-5-1, all of those different, there's loads. It's more or less like a 4-4-2 in some ways, because Calvert-Lewin's although he does a really good job. Like, people talk about him, saying this, that, and the other, but I really like Calvert-Lewin, but he missed the game the other day with an injury, so I don't know whether he's going to be fit, because the other fella begins with a B and I'm forgetting his name. Is it Beto or something?
Beto it is,
Beto. He played, and he's just not the same standard at all. He's decent in the air, and he's one of those that, on his day he can have a decent shot, and if he catches one right, he's nowhere near as good as Calvert-Lewin. But
he was touch and go at the weekend, Calvert-Lewin. So I would imagine it's probably going to be the same. But God, that player Calvert-Lewin could have been such a talent if it
he's
just
had
wasn't
so
for
many injuries. I know,
unbelievable. And he's just unlucky as well. Did you see the one where he got earlier in the season where he got the elbow and his cheekbone came out? Like, I thought to myself, like, how unlucky can one player be?
I know.
But when you look at their team though, their starting lineup, there is a few decent players in there. Like we've got to keep an eye on Decoria, definitely. We've got Jack Harrison who plays on the right. Gay's not a bad player. I'll come in again. Dwight McNeil, Mikalenko. But the one player I do really want to talk about is Branthwaite. He looks like a hell of a player. Hell of a player they've got there.
He's good. He's decent in defence. Him and Tarkovsky are not the quickest, but they're big and they're strong and they're solid. Now, Branthwaite likes to come forward. He likes to try and bring the ball forward. Yeah. And he's a decent player, and he'll be a player that'll be, in 4 or 5 years' time. I think he could end up being one of the top defenders. I personally think he's got a good way to go, but
he's only young though, isn't he?
Yeah, I know. He's a big lad, but he will. He's learning. He's learning under Sean Dyche, and he's decent at what he does, but he's very, very two-dimensional, one-dimensional even, And the thing, the way that they play, right? To me, Decoria is the key to their team, because Decoria runs everywhere. And when whoever's playing up front moves out wide, I don't know whether Beto will do it, but he didn't the other day. If Calvert-Lewin plays, he moves out wide, and he's difficult to pick up. He's one of those that's like, he's a bit of a ghost centre forward. He's a little bit like Isak in that way, the way that he kind of ghosts here and there. But Decoria kind of comes and takes his place, and he can also fit into midfield and allow other players to come forward. Now, Gay and Garner are not the biggest, and they don't come forward as much. They kind of hold, and they allow Harrison and McNeil to get forward, and Mikalenko and Ashley Young like to try and get forward as well. But I don't think they'll get many opportunities to do so against us. Now, Ashley Young used to be really quick, but he's not anymore.
No, he's more like Ashley Old these days, isn't he? He's going to struggle against Anthony Gordon.
Mikalenko is probably the quickest out of them, but the way that they play, right, I've had a look at them, and their midfield, when they're being attacked, their midfield comes back. If you think the defense is here, their midfield comes and almost sits on top of them, right? Now, I think what he's trying to do is to try and stop teams get in between the lanes, right? Which a lot of teams try to do. But the problem is when you've got teams like us who, as we've said, like to play out wide, when they're on top of each other, they end up, they've practically got 6, 7, sometimes 8 players either on the edge of their box within 4 yards of each other, and then they kind of move together almost on the edge of the 6-yard box when the ball comes out wide. Now, what they don't do, they don't allow for players coming in from deep. So you've got like some Miley, you've got Joelinton, you've got Bruno. They wouldn't be picking those up. They don't think about that. It's literally 2 lines that almost move like together like that, and they're really, really close. Now, I've looked at them, and as I say, I've had a good look at them over the last few weeks, thinking about this game, because ideally I would have been going, because I would have been staying in Liverpool, but I'm just not well enough. I can't go. Now, as I say, Decoria basically pushes up as a winger as well, and he comes in from the other side. The thing to watch out for them, I think, is corners, because they're big, and they try and organize for corners and free kicks, but we're big as well, and we've been really decent at corners. And I think Dubravka likes to catch more than Pope. Pope likes to punch, and I think Dubravka hopefully will be quite solid in that area. Now, as I say, Branthwaite is a decent player, and he likes to get forward. But because of the fact that you've got young Mikalenko and Branthwaite all like to get forward, they don't seem to be able to get back to cover as much. And they leave gaps in behind. When they do push forward, they leave loads of gaps. And you've got Miggy and Gordon and Isak. I think we'll end up a ball from Shea or Trippier or somebody like that, or Bruno, when they're in a position where they're trying to push forward. They don't really play a high line all of the time, but there's enough space when those players come. You know how good our players are passing the ball. Now, I honestly think that Joe Linton will eat their midfielders alive. I really do. I think he'll destroy them. They're just not strong enough.
Like you say, Gay and Garner don't really have the muscle to go in against somebody like Joe Linton, so he's going to play an important role. One matchup I am interested in is the one of McNeil and Trippier. Now, I think Trippier's got all the defensive attributes to deal with somebody like McNeil, but make no mistake, for me, he's a player that goes underneath the radar a little bit. He scored a fantastic goal at the weekend.
Yeah.
Really, really smart finish. But I find like I can imagine Trippier sort of giving him the inside so he can sort of double up with what will be Fabian Shaw on the right hand side and just totally snuff that out. So that being said, I can see a chance for counter attacks on the right hand side through Miggy Almiron. And I think that really could be a place of joy forward. So if he's playing Livramento on the left with Gordon in front of him, I think that's where they're really going to be concentrating on and where they're going to probably keep their players back. Ashley Young can't get forward as much because if Gordon gets the feet on him, he's going to be absolutely burned for pace. He's going to be nowhere near it. So he's going to, as a result of that, have to stick back, which means if they're going to play attacks for me, it's going to probably come down their left-hand side. So Miggy needs to be switched on to look to try and get down those wings, so really hit them on the counter. That having been said, I don't know how attacking they're going to take this game. I hope it's not a case of low block. Now, when they played Manchester United, they didn't play in that way. They did have a go at it, and they did come out.
I think they'll have a go.
I hope they do, because I think that'll suit us a lot better. I really do think it will suit
us.
But
what I do think they'll try is, I think they'll try the long ball. I think they'll try and go for the long ball a lot, and they do that. They play that out wide. Now, they'll especially do that if we lose the ball going forward, and they might bypass our press literally just by playing the ball out wide, where you know that's where you need Trippier and Livramento switched on to their wingers. I think, to be perfectly honest, I think Shea and Lascelles will cope with that all day. Lascelles especially, he revels in that kind of thing, and a proper battle. I think he'll be happy with that. The thing is, as well, aside from that, I think we'll pass them to death, because them playing those two in the middle, that 4-4-1-1, Decore is going to have to come back to link in with their midfield, because we are going to overrun them in midfield, because not only have you got our three there, we always have, our fullbacks, which will be Livramento and Trippier, will be basically coming forward. Shea will probably kind of come forward and sit in that midfield position as well at times, But the way that we pass the ball around and we play little triangles and then eventually get the ball out wide, I just think we're gonna pass them to death, and they're going to be run ragged. I really do. And I'm looking at it, and I can see weaknesses in that formation, weaknesses in the players that they've got to play that formation, and they're trying to use a bit of heart. Now, they didn't have any at the weekend. Last week, when they played midweek.
Mm-hmm.
Last week, they were awful, absolutely awful. And I forget who they played, but they were absolutely awful. They really were. And you thought, this is the first game after the points deduction, and you thought they would really go for it. They didn't. They were just really poor. And I think they've had a rocket up their arses from Sean Dyche, and they fought a lot more at the weekend. But the quality, they still haven't got the quality, I don't think,
So, I mean, here's my 2 pence worth. So, I mean, Sean Dyche is a clever manager, and I think part of him will be wanting to say to them, look, save a bit in the tank for 70 minutes.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be playing the same team that's played 290 minutes back to back.
I
They're going
agree.
to run out of steam. Now, that can go one of two ways as well. This is why I'm sort of in two minds with that, because are Everton a good enough team defensively to allow us to come on and keep it at bay? I don't think that they probably are. I think if they allowed us on and we had the sort of build up that we had against Manchester United, we wouldn't miss as many chances. Those of average says the more shots you have, the more goals you're going to score. Now, we had plenty of shots and only scored one goal. Have given that opportunity again, I think against Everton, that we would have more joy. So that is a bit of a dangerous tactic to play. But if you're the Everton manager, surely you've got to be looking at our team and saying, "Come on, lads, just keep some juice in the tank for the last 70 minutes because
Yeah.
that's probably where we're going to get most of our joy." So it's going to be really interesting to see if they do sort of a little bit of the old Muhammad Ali tactics, let we punch ourselves out a little bit. But I think
Yeah.
that would be a dangerous tactic against us at the moment because I think eventually we would break them down. And once the first goal goes in, I can't see a way back for Everton.
I think they're going to be really reliant on Pickford. I honestly do. And I mean, you know, all of the jokes with the short arms and everything like that aside, he is a decent keeper and he's a good shot stopper. But if we get some of the, you know, we had 22 shots, I think, the other day. If we get more of those shots on target, you know, there were a couple of them. Mickey had a one that if he just got a little bit height on it, it would have been in. Miley was really unlucky with a block. There was loads of kind of chances like that. If we play like we did against Man United on Thursday night, I think we'll have as many shots, if not more, against them because I really think we'll pass them to death. But I do honestly think that they'll be looking to bring the ball, bring it deeper from the wide areas, not just because they get numbers. They have 8 players just in front of the keeper. When players get out wide, they basically defenders have said 2 lines of 4. And it's crazy because they leave those gaps in coming behind. But you need precision shooting. Do you know what I mean? It's got to be precision shooting. And the fact that we've got Gordon and Mickey who both come inside as well as the fullbacks who go outside, then the fact that we do that and then we can mix it up where they can come inside and then you've still got the two who are overlapping at the same time, and that stretches defenses. So if they end up stretched and leave those gaps for players coming in, then really we should beat them. We should beat them,
so.
but you know,
Well,
we've got to score. We've got to score a couple of goals, as you say, because we will tire by the end, and I think that's a big factor. Yeah.
Well, normally at this stage in the video, we'd normally go through with team, but I think that's a little bit pointless at the moment, with exceptions of Pulford Dubravka. It's going to be the same team. So instead of that, what I do want to talk about is one person's inclusion in particular, which will definitely be under the spotlight. Now, when we went to Goodison Park last season, there was a lot of talk about Anthony Gordon, whether he should start or not, whether the occasion might be a little bit too soon. Obviously, he's always going to get stick from the Everton fans. I saw the most ridiculous thing on social media today, an Everton fan saying you paid 50 million for Gordon. He scored 5 goals. Yeah, man. We, just trying to put him down, saying something along the lines of we've got a player who scored more than that. And I was just like, it was just so bitter. But getting back to the point, this time it's completely different because this time he's definitely going to start, and I think he's a different Anthony Gordon to when this fixture came around last season. Whereas I was a little bit unsure myself whether the occasion would be. Now I think it's the perfect time for him to go back to Goodison Park because he will be ready for this, man. He will be absolutely ready for this, and the more the fans get on the back of him, the more it's going to spur him on. And I don't think he will lose his head. He'll want to punish them with pace, and he'll want to get on the score sheet as well. What's your thoughts on that?
I honestly think that he deserves credit for the way that he's developed. And my mate messaged us the other day, and he says, "Well done, Davy." And I says, "What for? What have I done?" He says, "No." He says, "You said, like all through the beginning of the year when we bought Gordon, just to wait because Gordon will come good, you know."
Me as
and
well. Main side.
everybody was slagging him off, and I was saying, no, he will. There's a proper player in there, and he was the only player that they had when we played Everton. When he was there, he was the only one that I was concerned about, the only one, and he plays for us now. The other side of it is, right, Eddie Howe basically deserves huge credit because you can see the change in the lad's mentality and the way that his mind works and the way that he holds himself. Now, it's easy to do it in interviews and for to, be more level-headed in interviews and all that sort of stuff. And he did a one after the match the other day, and he was stood with his strip on, and he was shivering, and somebody brought him a coat, and I thought, a coat? He's not quite 100% Geordie yet, getting a coat on, you know what I mean? But his interview was
doing a big market with his bikini on.
His interview was brilliant, but I thought you can talk and talk and talk. It's what you do on the pitch, but he does both now, and you can see the difference in both. And you can see the way that he holds himself on the pitch and the runs that he makes. And he doesn't get despondent. He uses his energy instead of before, where his energy was kind of having to go at people and, where like the incident when he had to go at Shea, and Shea was nearly going to grab him by the throat, and he just laughed at him, and Trippier as well. And then when he came and Shea said he has to prove himself, but he has done, and I think all of those factors together, I think I'd be very, very, very disappointed if he doesn't have a good game. And the fact that he's going to be probably playing against Ashley Young. Now, the thing is Ashley Young has got no pace anymore, but Ashley Young is still a clever. He's got a bit nous in there, he has been a good player over the years. But Ashley Young now seems to have to resort to fouls again and again and again. Now he tries to do them. He tries to do clever ones, that the ref doesn't see, and he will try and get into Gordon's mind. I think that's what he'll be doing, but I don't think he'll be able to, honestly. And Gordon, to me, I think he's going to absolutely skin him, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ashley Young gets sent off in that game. I think,
I've got to agree when you were speaking about Anthony Gordon, you hit the nail right on the head when you talked about mentality, and you are right to bring up the incident against Shaw, because that is the before and after, isn't it?
Exactly.
The Anthony Gordon that came to St. James's Park he was hot-headed. He looked like a frustrated figure. He knew he was playing in a bad team.
He was getting chased by their fans, and that
he wasn't in the right place.
him. It was awful.
Now, because of that mentality that you were just talking about, that's why this is the perfect time, because he can now go to Goodison Park and not worry about losing his head. He can then turn around and go, look at what you missed. It's like, you were seeing a bird when you were 16, and then when you're 25 and you've been to the gym and you've got all the muscles and stuff like that, and you spot her in the bar. Yeah. And she's with some ugly bloke, and you're going, look what you missed. Eh? But in all seriousness, I just think that this game could be, it's just got Anthony Gordon written all over it. And I kind of hope that the fans do get at him a little bit, because I honestly think that'll just put fire in his belly for him to go out there and really cause them some trouble.
Thing is though, it's that's the focus, right? But you think about this as well. On that side, you've got Joe Lenton, who is basically there, kind of feeding him, backing him up, and behind, coming up from the fullback position, is Livramento as well. And even if Gordon does nothing more than hold the ball up for Livramento, do you know what I mean? And where the target Gordon again and again and again, you've got Joe Linton and Livramento as well for to worry about. They haven't just got Gordon, and we can switch it very quickly to the other side. And then you've got Trippier, and they've got Miley, and they've got Mickey, and they've got Isak in the middle for to worry about as well. We have got players who are playing out of their skin. It's like the fact that it's back to the wall, sort of, you know, like I mentioned, that dad's army kind of mentality. They are playing out of their skins. They're playing the passing, the movement, the fight,
watch
everything. It's just like they know what they've got to do, and it's just brilliant to watch. And you think, this is amazing, you know. And there are players who normally wouldn't get in the first team. You would think, you know, they might get brought in every now and then. But there's a couple of players who have had to fight for those positions, and they've waited for the injuries. To be honest, you know, the players coming back, as I've said, that they're going to have to fight for to get back in against these lads, because they've been absolutely unbelievable.
Well, that certainly whetted my appetite for the game on Thursday. I hope it's whetted everybody else's appetite. Now, before we close off, what's your score line? What's your score? Where's your prediction going?
I honestly think that Pickford will probably have a really good game, but I'm going for 2-0 to us. And I'm going to pick Isak and Gordon. I think Gordon's going to get one. But I think Isak will basically do one of those things where he ghosts. He doesn't go in those centre forward places, and he ghosts, comes a little bit deeper, and I think he might get one from that sort of area, you know. But that's what I'm going for.
Well, I'm going for 3-0. I think they're going to have a really tough time. I think it'll be backs against the wall at the end for us, but I think we'll have enough to see it through. I was toying with 3-1, but I'm going to stick with 3-0, and I'm going to go for a brace for Gordon and one for Isak.
I didn't know you wore braces.
Hey! Right, well, if you
on that note,
on that
ding 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 ding.
If you've gotten this far on the video, thank you very much. We really do appreciate it. Why not give it a like? Get a comment down below with your scorers and your scoreline. Still nobody's won the prize.
Don't message me. Don't message me on social media.
Davy.
Message me on here. Messages on here.
Get the video out to more people. But we do really appreciate everybody who comes back and watches the video. We love doing these videos. So if you haven't, give a little subscribe. It really does help the channel. We'll be back sometime after the Everton game. They're coming quick and fast and furious. Hopefully we can get one in before the Tottenham game. Yeah. But if not, we'll see you on the next one. And until then, come on.
Nowhere.